Hello, guten tag, hola muchachos, and welcome to my garage. Incredible, isn't it? Just like me. Incredible dickhead, more like. Anyway, give me a second. Now, hopefully as you've seen on this channel, I've been posting many videos about when I did the North Coast 500 on this lovely CBR 1000RR, 2008 model, drinks all like a bugger. Get into it later, doesn't matter. So, I figured what I'd do is do a bit of a recap of my trip, all the stuff I enjoyed, what I did beforehand, and all the things that I think made this trip a bit easier, because then hopefully I can give you some tips, pointers, recommendations, and a bit of sort of preparation help to make your trip hopefully as half as good as my trip was. Not to blow my own trumpet or anything. Can't do that anymore because I'm old. Now, the important and fun and key bit, let's face it, was my route. Where did I go? Why did I go there? What did I do? So, I live in Birmingham, and the first night I wanted to stay in a place called Arrochar. And the main reason I wanted to stay in Arrochar is because it's close to the west coast of Scotland. And if I just plonk my day one route up, you'll see where I went from Arrochar. I went down sort of southwesterly and then came all the way up the coast, all through the Nadgery Twiddly bits. Went through all Glencoe. I tried to get to the Harry Potter train, but just didn't make it in time. But then because of sort of family connections, I wanted to go to the Ellendon Castle as well. Just about made it to there. I say just about because it was a little bit sketchy and a little bit late. I went across to the Isle of Skye. Now, my plan was, when I got to the Isle of Skye, was, you know, maybe dump my stuff at the hotel, get back on the bike and go up to a place called Ugg. It's spelled Uig. But by the time I got there, I was just broken. I was just like, no, football's on, it's England, Switzerland, it's penalties. I'm sitting down, I'm having a couple of beers, and that's exactly what I did. So, yeah, day one was just so eye-opening. It was brilliant. And I think on day one, I kind of got a sense that I was really going to enjoy this trip. And most of that was done through Glencoe, past Three Sisters, going past the Loch Tulla viewpoint and all the way up the little Nadgery Hill to get there. It was just awesome. So from day one, I ended up on the Isle of Skye, just went across the Carlisle Couch, and the hotel was only just off the high street. Day two was going from that hotel on the Isle of Skye up to a place called Scourie on the north. It's kind of like a northwest sort of area. And the best part of that was it took you directly over the Applecross Pass, straight up Balachny Bar. And because I get out early and I try and ride these things in the morning, I just had the place to myself, and it was awesome. Like I say I had the place to myself, but I also stopped taking photos. It was a 7.5 ton truck, came the opposite way down the Applecross Pass. Like, he'd just done the little Nadgery twist back thing. How he'd done that in a 7.5 ton truck, I don't know. Like, fair play to the man, like, skills. Either that or he was just barreling down the side of the hill, screaming for his life. And I just went, bye, as he went past. Either way, I hope he's doing well. So after that, there was a lot of sort of Nadgery switchback roads that went all the way up through, I can't remember the name of the bloody places. I think it was a Ardnicky lime kilns, somewhere like that. I want to say Berry Hill. Berry Hill? I think that I'm fairly sure there's a subscriber, because I have so many subscribers. Mr. and Mrs. Munro, shout out, love you. I think they're in Berry Hill. I can't remember the name of the place, but yeah, I went through that and it's gorgeous. Just all the way up. Twisty, Nadgery, then you get to the coastal roads up the top and you get near Scourie. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, just bloody concentrate. And when you're done with all that twisty, Nadgery, switchback, fun and gravel and opposing cars and sheep, just doing whatever sheep want to do. When you get out to the end of that, you just pop out onto this massive dual carriageway and it's so nice and flowing. You can just sit at 60 and just weave your way all the way up to Scourie. And that's what I did. And I think by the time I got to Scourie, I was a little bit sort of euphoric. To put it bluntly, which is probably why I passed out when I got to Scourie as well, in the Scourie hotel. I just dumped all my stuff off, had a shower, and then I was off. I think I slept for like 19 hours or something stupid. But yeah, that was a very good day. Going from Isle of Skye, Carlisle Couch, through Applecross, Balachny Bar, all the twisty Nadgery roads, and then ended up in Scourie. Missed my beer, but I don't really mind. The day after, obviously starting at Scourie, went all the way across to the north coast, because obviously it's a North Coast 500, so kind of want to get there. Went to a place called Dunnet Head, had an ice cream, sat down for a minute, watched the birds. Didn't see any puffins, but I don't think there's there anyway, so that's no big deal. And then went across from there to John O'Groats. Again, had my little touristy bit, did my photo, it was great. Afterwards, just started to get a bit more sort of rainy, a bit more wet, a bit more miserable, and then ended up in a place called Strathpeffer. Still can't say it. And the hotel there was pretty cool. It was really sort of old and beamy in the bar, except when you got into the room and the bathroom was a little bit found dead in a hotel bathroom kind of vibe. Yeah, not nicest, but still, it did, and it was cheap. You know, I'll try and find the prices and just whack a load of prices up as I go, whenever I mention the hotels. So left the Highland hotels from Strathpeffer, headed to a place called St. Fillan's, and that I think was the day that took me all the way through the Cairngorms. And those roads look like the opening credits from Postman Pat. And yeah, I need to go back and do that the opposite way, because that was just phenomenal. Like going up those hills rather than going down those hills, I think it would just be amazing. Went past Loch Ness. I didn't even realise I was going past Loch Ness when I did it. I just kind of looked back and went, oh, that's a bloody big lake, and carried on. So yeah, there's probably missed a couple of bits there. Ended up in St. Fillan's on the end of a loch. I can't remember the name of the loch, but did a bit of drone footage. That's in the last video I think that I posted. And yeah, from St. Fillan's, it was then 350 miles through sideways rain, head-on rain, truck rain, people on their phones, filtering traffic. You've seen the time lapse hopefully if you watched the last video, and that was all the way back to Birmingham, and that was the 350 that I did on that day. So yeah, in total, 350 from Birmingham to Arrochar. I think I then did 280, 270, 250 and 270, something to that effect. So that's what, 540, just over 1,000 miles, and then 350 to come back. So if you take 350, 350 and 1,000, it's about 1,700 miles I did. And that was done from a half a day on Friday, where I left Birmingham properly at like 4 o'clock. And to be honest, I can't even remember how long it took me to get back. It was just waiting for my bum to fall off and seeing if my spine would ever come back to the full length. I'm fairly sure I'm shorter for doing this trip. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I just want to go and do it again. And yeah, I would highly recommend you do this trip. So what I'm going to do now is just lay out a few tips, a few recommendations, and some of the stuff that I did to make this trip just a bit easier. So yeah, hope you enjoy that. Tip number one, simple, basic maintenance. Just wash the damn bike. Like that can like show you the issues that you're hiding underneath all the dirt. Check for rust, check your fork seals, check behind your brakes, give them a bit of a blast of brake cleaner. They don't need much, just do it and then you'll find the issues. And if it's been a couple of months since you did an oil and filter service, just do the oil and filter service. Like it's what, 50 quid for oil, 10 for filter. Get it done, get out of the way. You'll thank me later. Right, that was tip number one. Tip number two, your sat nav doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to go spending hundreds of pounds or whatever it is on the Beeline or Garmin or TomTom or the BMW like integrated thing. You can just use an old phone and hotspot one phone to that old phone. Job's a good one. Use Google Maps. I did all of my planning just through Google Maps and using the waypoints on that. You don't need to do anything more than that. And as long as you got a decent enough phone signal, you're gonna be fine. So that'd be my second very, very cost-saving tip. Just use Google Maps. It's free and good now. It used to be crap. So tip number two. So tip number three, stretch and hydrate. I cannot like stress how much dehydration makes you lose focus. You're just going to be riding around with a headache in this amazing scenery and just think that you just want to stop and go home. And it's going to ruin the trip, it really is. And to go along with that, if you stretch, your muscles are going to stay looser, specifically around the back of your neck and down your lower back and into your hamstrings. Stretch it all out, give it 2 hours every day before you stop and just do a quick 5-minute stretch. Doesn't take very long, you don't even have to get your gear off to do it. It's fine, just do it. Don't bend over in traffic. You might be sending the wrong signal if you're bending over in traffic or a lay-by. Stretch carefully. Right, tip number 4, fuel. Figure out how far your bike will go on one tank of fuel. And I'm not saying go into the service manual or go into the dealer's websites, because those figures are just different and they don't need to take into account wear and your chain state and your brake state and all that sort of stuff that's going on with your specific bike. Put a tank of fuel in your bike a couple of weeks before you're going to go and just run it virtually dry. Like take a 5-litre can with you so you can top it off and get to another petrol station, obviously. You don't want to just get stranded and then you never get to Scotland because you get murdered and put in a bush and nobody ever sees you again and your wife just doesn't know whatever happened to you and your poor children. So this bike will do 120 miles normally on a tank. If I'm giving it a little bit of beans and then riding normally and I'm riding to and from work, all that sort of stuff, it's fine. If I really give it the beans, it'll do 80 miles on a tank. If I get it onto a motorway afterwards, or fill up the tank and go onto the motorway, 6th gear, 5,000 RPM, and I know it'll do about 185 miles. So that means I've only got to stop basically once or twice to get to Scotland from my house. And it factors in planning, makes you sort of more aware of how long the trip to Scotland will take, as well as where you need to be stopping within your trip. And then when you go and you use Google, you use your Google Maps, stutter a bit more, guys, it's fine. Use your Google Maps as with tip 2. You can plan your fuel stops, you can figure out just how far you can and can't get, and then that will also dictate how far you're going to go in a day. And now you're planning, and now everyone's happy. So fuel, figure out what you can get from your bike. Tip number 5, and I cannot stress this enough. So I'm enunciating and moving my hands up and down. Pad your seat, wear cycling shorts, maybe even get a little inflatable seat to go on your seats. But if you're doing it on a sport bike, do all 3 plus, I don't know, I was going to say Vaseline, but that just goes down a completely different track where my head's going. But basically, when I got to Scotland in ROK at like 10 to midnight after riding from Wheelhouse Tyres in Birmingham, my arse felt like it wanted to leave my body. And then the next day I had to do 280 miles on it. So had it, protect it, and probably take more breaks than I did on the way up at least. Tip 5, protect your bum. Now we get to the kind of fun bit, recommendations. I used a DJI, I think it was Action 4, yeah, DJI Action 4 and a Mic 2, and I just had them linked via Bluetooth, and when it worked, on the rare occasion, it was awesome. However, don't know if there's something going wrong with my camera or my mic, but the connection just didn't want to happen. As you probably saw in a bunch of the videos, if you watched them, terrible audio, thing was disconnecting, and I just ended up having to put music over the top of it, sorry. After that trip, I bought this camera that I'm recording on now, and I got the Action 5 Pro. I even just bought another Mic 2 just to check it and just to test it. That's been awesome. So I'd say DJI Action 5 Pro or better, and the Mic 2 or maybe even the Mic Mini or better, because it just makes your life so much easier. All you gotta do is click record, they sync together. You don't have to do any flappy visor things to figure out where, you know, one audio track is and the other audio track is. And if you put the receiver into the cage, like what I've got, then you can have 2 sets of audio, one for the bike, one for your voice, and it'll automatically sync into the footage, and it's just gonna save you hours and hours and hours and hours in your edit. So do that. DJI Action 5 Pro better, Mic 2, and the receiver. Jobs are good. Now, if you're on a sport bike, particularly like the Honda here, there's not really a very easy way to attach luggage to the back of it without like disassembling the rear bodywork and taking sort of all the back end of it off to get to the subframe to then strap things to it. However, I found these things. I think they're called ROK Straps. If they're not, I'll find out what they are called and I'll put that on the screen. Effectively, all they do is they link this around your frame, you put the end of it through and you clip it on, you cinch it down, and nothing goes anywhere. So get yourself some ROK Straps. If you can't, get yourself some bungees. I was looking up then because some of my bungees in my luggage are up there. But these are way better than just bungees. The only thing you have to be careful with is when you detach them, if they're under load, they will recoil. You might hit me in the dick once or twice. ROK Straps, get them. Unless they're called something else, not ROK Straps, in which case buy the thing and shut up. Now, next recommendation, I'll keep it quick because it's kind of the boring one. But it's Great Britain, so it's going to rain. Get some waterproofs. If you've got Gore-Tex and all that jazz, you know, well done, you're a top student. If you don't, I just got some Oxford Rain Warrior or something to that effect. I'll try and find the name of actually show my waterproofs. But they were awesome. Like, you just put some carry bags on your boot and they go straight into the legs. And then the top was just elasticated at the waist, so it just grabbed onto the leathers. Velcro and zip all the way up and you're fine. And the rain I hit on one of the days was biblical, and I didn't want to have to stop to put my lower waterproofs on, and I really wish I did. As you'll have seen in the end of one of my videos, I just had to ride home with a very wet ass. But my top half was bone dry, and that thing I think was about £50. So yes, I can recommend Oxford Rain Warrior waterproofs, specifically because it saved me from probably pneumonia and hypothermia. Good times, good times. Something I've realised recently is when you've done all of your route planning, if you put all of that information into like something like Gemini or ChatGPT, you can then just tell it, okay, whenever I mention what am I doing on day 2, you can get it to give you a weather forecast, tell you where your fuel stops are, and then also tell you what your mileage is for that day. And also, you know, any sort of other in-between bits that you wanted to see on that day. I didn't do this in GPT. I kind of wish I had, because it would have reminded me, oh, I need to get a move on because I'm going to miss that. So as much as I dislike these AI things, if you use GPT for that, then I think it's going to make the trip a whole lot better, because it's just like having your little personal assistant tell you where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and what you're wanting to do as well. It's like having a little gremlin by the side of you, just kicking you along the road as you go. So, sorry, but use AI. Anyway, next one. Now, with planning comes routes and timing, because you need to know where you're going to get to on a day and just how far you can actually ride. So, as part of your planning, I'd say maybe like a month or so before, when you want to actually do your trip, get on your bike and see how far you can ride before you're like, I am now a danger to society. I'm not paying attention, I'm tired, I'm this, that, and the other. Go out, do 100 miles and just see how you feel after doing 100 miles. If that's too much, then when you get to sort of 60, 70, stop, and then you know that your allotted period for riding in one big chunk is 60, 70 miles. You might need to improve upon that if you're going to ride up, say, from, I don't know, Sussex and go to Scotland. The main thing is you figure out just when you become dangerous on the road, when you start to lose that concentration. You start to miss gravel in the road, you start to miss puddles, drifting onto white lines, not observing cars at the right speed coming down the road, those sorts of things, because they're important, because it only takes one of those and you're off. Done. And if that's on the side of Applecross, you're over the barriers, bouncing down the hill back to where you came from. Not a good look. Now, timing in terms of your days, like I say, I got out at 9:30 every morning because I just like to get up, have a quick breakfast, get away from the hotel. Not only because everybody's starting to wake up in the hotel and breakfast would then take longer, but also by the time they finish breakfast, they can just go straight out in their cars and clog up all the lovely roads. And nobody wants to share the roads. So if you get out early enough, you can avoid all that traffic, enjoy the roads, and then by lunchtime-ish, when everybody else has woken up and got all the camper vans out because they're moving between all of the different campsites across the place, you've already had your fun. Like, you've had your clear road, you've had your blast, enjoyed it. Now you can just have a nice, easy afternoon after your lunch. Plus, you're fresher in the morning, aren't you? Let's face it. You're less likely to lose concentration. Makes more sense to get up. All that said and done, all the ifs, buts, maybes, whens, what ifs, all of that crap. The biggest, like, I don't know, piece of advice is just do it. I nearly swore then. Just do it. Censored myself. Hope you appreciate it. Honest to God, it's only up the road, effectively, 350 miles from here. It's not the biggest distance. Everybody speaks English of sorts. All the food's the same, but the scenery is just, yeah, it's like nothing I've seen. Like, I rode my bike into the Alps and whatnot, and that was beautiful, but this was just a whole other kind of beautiful. So yeah, biggest piece of advice is just go and do the North Coast 500. Anyway, I'm gonna go back inside because I'm sat in my garage and it's cold. Bye.